Hi, good evening. I'm Natalie. For those of you who don't know me, I'm a personal trainer, a nutrition coach, a group fitness instructor, Zumba instructor, the works. Okay. So where does it stop and what job do I really have a challenge with? Okay. Now that my kids aren't around, maybe I can tell you this. It's parenting. Motherhood is just not simple. Luckily, we have with us two very enterprising ladies, Rupali and Lydia, who are going to make our job just a little bit easier. How? What do Rupali and Lydia do? They are emotional intelligence experts. A little more about that later. As I've already told them, when I get stuck with something, I'm just going to put it on them. So maybe I'm going to introduce Rupali first. Rupali, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your role in your new baby, your new venture, Motivo?
Hi, Natalie. It's so cute the way you introduced us. I'm really feeling as it is very, very much at ease. And talking about me, I'm an ICF certified international mindset coach. My mission is to foster the youth, and we have kind of come with a passion project which we call Motivo. And Lydia will tell us a bit about it.
Thanks. Okay, on to Lydia. So I actually know Lydia from the corporate world. Thankfully, we're now doing something that we're much more passionate about. Lydia, tell us about your new passion.
So for me, from the corporate world to the entrepreneurship, and now with Motivo, so as Rupali said, it's a passion project for us. And Motivo deals in training and developing young minds, adolescents, help them to navigate through the adolescence challenges so that they can, have a better and brighter future. So that is what Motivo, and that's what my role also is with my HR experience, and now as a trainer and coach, and I hope that I can contribute to Motivo.
Thanks so much, Lydia. Okay, so I'm the physical person, right? I'm the physical trainer. So I know it's so trying for our kids these days when they're like at home and they're so used to playing outside and they're used to sport and they're used to their friends. I try to do my little bit by doing stuff online, but I know it's just not the same. And the emotional bit, that's where I'm really, really stumped. So Lydia, can you tell us about maintaining this balance between physical, mental health and emotional health?
Sure, one thing that we have to understand that mind and body are both linked. Okay, when a person focuses on the physical health, he or she automatically experiences a greater emotional or mental vibe. You really feel, you get pumped, right? You really feel good. So they're interlinked. The other thing is physical activity has a huge impact on the mind. It helps you relieve stress, it helps you cope with challenges, so on and so forth. The other thing is you have to understand that when you have poor mental health, chances of you having even greater, it exposes you to greater risk of physical health. And vice versa, if you have very poor physical health, you will have great impact on mental health. So therefore, you have to balance both together. And once you balance both together, you're able to cope with your daily life. You have a better and satisfying life. You have also very good family life. So it is very interlinked with each other. You cannot separate and say, okay, now I'm having a very good physical health. I'm doing everyday exercise, but my mental health is poor. No. If you're having a good physical activity, your mental will automatically get boost.
I agree.
Unless otherwise you need there's a problem there. And similarly, if you have, as I mentioned, poor health, then your mental health will also get impacted.
As a hands-on mom, I see that every day. I mean, which is why I'm like constantly telling the kids, go up to the terrace, play, jump, exercise, do something, because, I've seen it. But then again, that's with kids. But I have a child who's literally grown up in the last year. He's 13. So raging hormones. How do you deal with that? I mean, Rupali, tell us a little more. Is it really a thing?
Natalie, before we get into the raging hormones, I just want to add to what Lydia said. I think wellness is a mindset, and a mindset which everyone has to, look into very seriously now. It's a balance between your mind, a balance between your body, and a balance between your spirit, It's the alignment of the mind, body, and spirit. So when I say what is wellness, wellness is not a static process. It's a process which is requiring changes, choices which is being made on a every day, every hour level. So when I say choices, what do I mean by that? I mean by what choices are you making for your mind? What are you feeding your mind? What kind of positive thoughts are you feeding your mind? What kind of books are you reading? What kind of company are you keeping? That's the choices you're making for your mind. Regarding the body, I mean, that's the most important ally. This stays with you till the time you die. So what food are you giving that body? What exercise are you giving it? How much of sleep are you giving that body? Are you loving your body or not? So that's a choice which you're making on a daily basis. And talking about spirit, which for me is the most important thing, because I'm very spiritually inclined, to have belief and to have faith on something which is not there, and the vibration of it is so high, that keeps us going amidst so many challenges which you're going through. That hope that things will change. And to be connected to that spirit is what going to make your balance with your mind and body even stronger. Well, let's face it, challenges are going to be a part of our life. But if you're spiritually strong, your life state is so high, then your mind and body and your spirit are just going to align, and a mindset of wellness is going to be created. So this is what I really strongly believe. And many of us are in the journey of wellness already. And it's a beautiful process, but it's a evolving process. So that's what I wanted to add to what Lydia said to right now. Just so beautiful. Well, coming back to raging hormones. Well, raging hormones are, I know. I've been through that, and I'm still going through that with my child. Well, the thing is that the way moms go through their menopause, or the men are going through their issues with hormonal, let's face it, even our adolescents are going through those raging hormones, as we call it. So from the time from 7-year-old to 17-year-olds, they're going through something which we call it raging hormones, because moms freak out, what is happening with my child and all of that. I get that.
Yes.
And yeah, but to be very honest, it's not easy for them also, because what's happening is that the stress hormones being released. So when I say stress hormones, they're emotionally more wired, emotionally very triggered, very sensitive right now. The growth hormones are being formed right now. So if you see the children of their age, their bodies, becoming wider. The girls are getting their menstrual cycles, they develop facial hair, they get acne, and they're getting breakouts and all of that. Now, on top of that, if things were not more difficult, the sex hormones are being formed, they're triggered. The testosterone are almost 10 times higher in a puberty. So that explains why most of the adolescents are, especially the boys, are lying having sleepless nights. So it's a part of life. Let's embrace it. The way we go through our hormonal changes, the adolescents are going through the raging hormones also. Now, to top it up, what's happening is that they suddenly have this drive for taking risks. They're very impulsive and very aggressive. And it's not that suddenly they have developed a different, like a mind or something. The hormones are acting up, so they're prone to taking risks. So suddenly they want to do rash things, probably, go for, like a drive, reckless driving and all of that. They're impulsively very drawn to, trying a newer thing. So this is the time that they want you to try a smoke, or probably try a drink. They're so drawn to it, they're almost wanting to do something which is really risky and all of that. And it's all a part of the hormonal process which is happening. And if that was not easy, the prefrontal cortex, which is the brain, and the emotional brain, they're not fully developed. Also, they are going through their round of changes during this period, but they're not, fully developed. So can you imagine the body going through that changes? The emotions are so overwhelming for them, on top of this period which we are talking about, the pandemic, So a lot of empathy for these children. So they are raging hormones going on, definitely, I agree. But this is the time that we have to kind of be the passionate, be the conscious parent for our children right now, be the empathetic friend, get off that pedestal of a parent and become a friend to your child right now, because that's what is the need of the hour, being a parent to your child. And if, let's presume, for whatever reason, the child is not wanting to speak to you, so get help of a coach, counselor, sibling, anybody he kind of connects to, and let him express, because raging hormones are difficult. Even we women go through our menopauses, and we have a way of handling it, So, we should provide that, some path for them to also express their raging hormones. So a lot of, conscious awareness on the part of a parent while dealing with the child's raging hormones.
Thank you so much, Rupali. Lydia, Rupali mentioned earlier when she was talking on the spiritual front, she said it's important for the child to be surrounded by positivity and positive emotions. How are you going to introduce that into your program?
Okay, before I answer that, going back to the raging hormones and, of course, your question on creating positivity, this is where conscious parenting comes into play, big time. Okay, now what is conscious parenting? Conscious parenting is not about the child, it's about yourself. That you understand yourself and don't keep putting it on the child, that the child is this, that the child is that. As a parent, we have to be conscious about the changes that the child is going through and therefore provide the right environment for the child. Okay, what is the environment that we are creating? Is it a positive environment? What is the language that we are using at home? How's it impacting the child? You know, it parenting is not a top down approach. It is not what I say you do. Okay, it is a relationship between two people that we have to understand. Now, coming to our program on emotional intelligence, first, there are no right or wrong emotions. There are, all emotions are trying to communicate a message. Okay, and it is very important for any parents to understand the message, decode the message that that particular emotion, that the particular behavior of the child is trying to communicate to you. Do not ignore that. Maybe don't fix it immediately. Wait, see what it is trying to communicate. Maybe it will get fixed on its own. And if not, then we can step in and try and fix it. But importantly, is try to understand. So there are no right or wrong emotions. So both positive and negative emotions are very important. There's a message in both of them. So embrace both. Now coming to uh, our program is very hand-picked and handcrafted for various age group. So we begin from the age of 16 to 17. So we are like cutting across one whole, from 6 to 17. So we have like elementary, junior, medial, and advanced. Every activity in our program is handpicked to suit that age.
Okay.
Okay, and all of them are through videos, worksheets, Zoom interactive sessions. The activities will be like learning how to write journals, how to acknowledge and have gratitude, how to set small goals and achieve them. Now all of these are very high vibrating activities, you know so it creates a lot of high vibrations, and when you have high vibrations you automatically create a lot of positivity and you're into positive emotions. So in all our activities we are trying to get the child firstly to understand what feelings and emotions are. How will they know they're sad, happy? So acknowledge those emotions, and once you know the emotions, then how do you regulate them? Okay, and once you regulate your emotions, how you also need to think about the others, build high relationships. So that it's a whole complete package, of 5 weeks. The program is, it's not like a workshop where you just come, sit for 2 hours, learn. No, it's a 5 weeks program. And this whole program, starting from introduction to the 4 modules of emotional intelligence, which is, populated by Daniel Goleman, we encourage that the parents sit with the child to go through these activities. Because this is a process where the child is trying to tell you about his or her own passion, the feelings, what they're good at, what they're not good at, probably what they need help, and these are all by not just talking. These are all through activities the child will discover, and it will be a beautiful journey when the parents also discover it with the child. So each activity is for about 5-10 minutes each day, and then once a week they come out and meet the coaches, they meet all the other students, where we encourage peer learning. They're sharing, they're talking about their feelings, because we don't do that in a normal scenario. So this 5 weeks we're going to teach children how to talk about feelings, how to learn how to express, how to share, because once you share, half the job is done. So all of these exercises, according to us, are very high vibrations. When you share, when you talk, when you acknowledge, when you're in gratitude, when you set goals, when you achieve something, like really on high, and therefore it creates a lot of positivity.
Awesome. Thanks. I mean, I can so relate to that. Kids need to express. I mean, whether it's physical, whether it's mental. Now I'm beginning to kind of see the parallels between the two. Maybe we can talk more on this a little later, okay? Now, Rupali, I'm asking you this because Lydia's already mentioned this, and I feel a lot of pressure suddenly. So there's a lot of involvement of the parents here, right? As in, they're watching us constantly. They are sort of mimicking us. They're doing what we do. What is your what do you feel? What do we need to tone it down? Do we need to be on our guard? Do we need to have our guard up all the time?
Natalie, I just want to say, just chill. Just chill. I know parenting is a challenging process, but the only way we can kind of deal with it is when um, just develop a lot of empathy for yourself first, because it's not an easy process. Having said that, just I'm talking from the perspective of a parent. I'm not getting into how we should deal with a child, because this question is being addressed to me by a parent too. So I'll talk to you what I feel you should do as a parent. As a conscious parent, I feel you should just take out a lot of me time where you embrace yourself for whatever you are, like, like understanding that you do not need your child to kind of complete you. You are complete in yourself. And when you're so complete in yourself, well, guess what? You have to give your child a lot of nurturing, a lot of love without any expectations. You want the best for your child. And as I always say, a child is born with his own destiny. He will find his his way out. It is a definite time. It's a difficult time for us. As a parent, it's a difficult time for the children too. So go easy, just accept this, go with the flow that it is a difficult process it's a difficult time for all of us, and just be in acceptance of that and be in acceptance of yourself, and do not worry about the child. The child is going to fare very well for himself. It's just that when we put our anxieties, as you said, our expectations, our fears onto it, the child picks it up, and guess what makes it his own. As you said, they kind of mimic our fears. So you understand your role is very important. So all you can do is probably work on being a conscious parent yourself, and on being loving yourself to crazy limits, and doing that Zumba workouts and making us join that, and so just chill, and the children will find a way. Definitely will.
Absolutely. Thanks. So you mentioned, yeah, I know a lot of parents are stressed. A lot of people are anxious. There's a difference between the two. Lydia, can you explain that?
So, yeah, there's a very thin line between the two. Now, if you talk about stress, now, stress is mostly externally triggered. Okay. Now, what do I mean by that? Stress can be caused, can be caused by, not or being late, you're stressed out, or not meeting a deadline, or, these are short term, stressors, or you just had a fight with your loved one, you're really stressed out. Okay. And long term stresses could be, either you or somebody in the family is dealing with a chronic illness. Okay. Or you're unable to really cope with work situation. Okay. Things like that, can cause you immense stress. On the other hand, anxiety is more internal. It is mostly caused by overthinking, which we all do. So it's mostly caused by overthinking. So there's a situation, you don't probably know what is right, what is wrong, but you're just making stories in your mind. Okay, now that could be anxiety because you don't know what exactly is the truth, or whether it actually exists, doesn't exist. You heard something, now you're forming stories in your mind. So excessive thinking is anxiety, according to me. Okay, so stress is mostly externally triggered, where somebody else is like, palming on something to you and you're unable to cope. And anxiety is you're processing your own stories internally and causing anxiety. And both could have kind of more or less the same impact. You could have, like, anger, you could be fatigued, you could have difficult in coping with your day-to-day work, and all of that. So more or less both have the same kind of an outcome. You could not feel well, you can have some illness, but that's the thin line. Is externally triggered, and anxiety is internally built, over excessive thinking.
So true. And I kind of like what you said about, I think a lot of it is to do with us and how we raise these bars so high. And this is actually something I got from a fitness psychologist. And she said, it's just that, we have such high expectations of ourselves and we're always trying to achieve perfection, but perfection's just an ideal. It's just an ideal. And so even if we achieve like 98%, we're still going to crib about what happened to that 2%.
So true.
And it's exactly, it's more about achieving and celebrating every 10% that you achieve, like, hey,
yeah,
wow.
the dogma of never being good enough. Yeah, we get that. It's always like never good enough. We all do that.
It becomes very important for us as well to celebrate the 98 and not to go behind the 2. Also put that on the children, But most of the time we forget. So we worry about the 2%. Oh my God, 98 easily could have got to 100.
True.
But what about the 98? Let's celebrate that. And probably that will reduce a lot of your stress, which has been caused by thinking about both stress and anxiety that's gone, because of that 2%.
That's right. That's right. And now the thing is with kids, normally it's like on social media, you upload a picture and you get like 1,000 likes and you're like, hey, I'm popular. You feel confident about yourself. You post another picture a couple of days later. Maybe it's just a bad day. Maybe the picture clarity wasn't great or whatever. You get fewer likes and you're just like, you're just down and nobody likes me. You just feel miserable about yourself. So all this is just very dependent on what other people think about you.
Very much.
So
and that's where we have to draw the line.
Yeah, exactly. So how are you addressing self-efficacy, talking to yourself, making yourself, Rupali, can you tell us a little about this, please?
Well, before I, kind of get into it, I want to talk about something which is very, very important is that you're talking about the anxieties and what happens with the mother. So as we said, the emotional patterns which are being formed unconsciously or consciously during the child's childhood, where they kind of take it from, even the adolescence, they're kind of soaking in a lot of energies. So when we're talking about bodies, we're talking about mind and body here, I just want to kind of state the importance that your body is your best friend, and every thought, every word, every emotion is being kind of absorbed by the body. Even if I feel some excitement, the first thing I will be is the hair on my arms is going to kind of just stand up. That's the first kind of reaction comes in the body. So every emotion the parent is feeling, the child is soaking up. So I don't know whether, this was a very dear friend of mine who introduced me to this concept of heal your body through your Louis Way. I'm sure everybody knows about her. And she had this wonderful take about children, which I really want to talk about here, is that she says, for instance, that, we know our ears represent a power of hearing. And a child, if you see, always complain of, there are a lot of children who complain of hearing. Now, what is the significance of that? They say there's something in the household which the child does not want to hear. And him not being able to express his anger or express what he feels, he doesn't know how to cope with it. Guess what? How he handles it? He handles it by putting earache into his face. There's the way of shutting it out. Children, eyes represent your power of seeing. Very small children who get into specs wearing very early in the age, there's something happening in the space of the child which he's not being able to see emotionally. So how he does it, he minimizes his eyesight so that he doesn't have to see it. A mother, the breast, which is called the mothering capacity, and a mother who lands up with breast cancer is a person who overmothers a child, who's overprotective, who goes out of a way to kind of, take care of a child. And guess what a reverse psychology it has on the child, because the child will never be able to form his true authentic self. He will always look for a dependent, relationship, or the one which can fill the void of the mother. That kind of relationship do not exist. The way a mother can unconditionally love, she will never find it. So that void will always be there. We are not, comfortable talking about sexuality, which is every part of your body is very important. And if we do not do that, then later on it comes out in some kind of, sexual, issues which might crop up in the space. So what I'm trying to say, the relation of the body and the emotions is very, very strong. And coming back to that point, where you say, how is physical exercise, helping build emotional intelligence. Well, guess what it does, So when you're exercising, what you're releasing? Dopamine, the happy hormones, right? So when you release the happy hormones, you would know you're the right person for this. So when you're releasing the happy hormones, well, what you feel? You feel happy emotions. You feel more of happy emotions, you feel less of negative emotions. So when you're feeling happy, guess what? You can handle your stress better. You can handle your anxiety better. When you start looking good, guess what? It works on your self-worth. It works on your self-esteem. When I see myself looking good in the mirror, it increases my self-worth. It makes me form better relationship. I'll go out of my way, to form better successful relationships and all of that. So your physical exercise will boost your emotional intelligence, because you're increasing your confidence level, your success level, your awareness of everything is going to increase, because you're excreting more of positive emotions. And positive emotions is all about being grateful, being confident. Lydia shared all of the positive emotions right now. And now coming back to self-efficacy. Self-efficacy is basically how well you can cope with challenges in life. If depending upon the skill sets you have, how can you cope with it better, which is an inevitable part of life. Everyone is going to face challenges. So there was this experiment which is very, very famous, which was called the Marshmallow Experiment. And in this, what was there said that children from the age of 3 to 5 year old were placed in a room, and they were given one juicy succulent marshmallow, and that was kept in front of them. And they were told, if for 15 minutes you can resist the urge of having this marshmallow, then guess what? You get another second marshmallow. And there were like around 20, 30 children who were, like a lot of children were put through this process. And so what was the meaning behind this experiment was that there were children who couldn't resist it and they immediately had it, and the children who took 15 minutes and then had the second marshmallow too. So what we are trying to talk about is self-control. Children who could regulate their thoughts, their emotions, and then work out a plan, definitely went out to be much more successful in their life, in the future relationship. Whereas children who could not resist their impulse control, they were just impulsive and drawn to doing whatever they do. They had the marshmallow in a minute or two. But the children who were definitely more stress-ridden, were more anxious, got into fisticuffs more, got into anger scenarios more. So self-efficacy is also a part of emotional intelligence, where we when emotional intelligence, we're teaching your child coping skills. So when you're grateful, when you have the ability to kind of be aware of your manage, regulate your emotions, guess what? Your self-efficacy is increasing. So self-efficacy, physical exercise, and emotional intelligence are all three interlinked. So you want to boost your physical physical attributes, work in emotional intelligence and also work in self-efficacy. So they're all three interlinked.
On this marshmallow experiment, which Rupali spoke about, there's a big research that has been done. And if parents want to go and read about it, they should. Because these children who went through this marshmallow study, they were actually followed up.
Okay.
Till the youth, till they grew up. And they were actually seen, and it was validated that all those who did not seek instant gratification are the children who went on to be more successful. As Rupali mentioned that, when you learn to regulate, you learn to hold yourself and, all of that. So this experiment was actually research studied, and the children who went through this as children were actually followed up till their adulthood to see where and how where did they land, whether they were successful, not successful. And it was proven that children who waited were more successful than children who were seeking instant gratification, because we have to understand there's no shortcut to life.
Absolutely. Oh, I know that. Yeah. Okay. So coming back to that, you said, these are skills, right? So they can be taught. That's what I'm asking you. They can be taught. So can you tell us a little more about your program and how you're going to introduce these skills?
So we are going to very soon be running a summer program, because ours is a 5 weeks program, on emotional intelligence. And as I mentioned earlier, It is on the components of Daniel Goleman, where he speaks about the 4 components of self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, and relationship management. And I've been saying this to everybody who've been talking to me, and at the cost of sounding repetitive, I will say it once again, that self-awareness is all about understanding your feelings, discovering yourself. And once you've discovered and you've understood yourself, how do you regulate your emotions? Because you know it now, right? You're angry, you're sad, you're happy, or whatever. So you need to regulate them. You need to understand what I need to do. If I'm angry, how do I cope with anger? So that's called self-management. And we don't live alone, we live with everybody. And that's why it's social awareness. You teach children how to have empathy, and how to understand the other's feelings, putting themselves in the other person's shoes. And then above all, relationship, building stronger bonds, having good relationships is so very important. So these are the 4 weeks, but it starts with introduction, which is a shorter week, and that's why the 5 weeks. And and again, our activities are through videos, worksheets. Okay, so the child enrolls for the program, they get access to the learning. Okay, and it's an online program, and they can do it at their own time, own whims and fancy. But we recommend that they do one activity every day. Okay, so there are about 5 to 6 activities per week on that particular component. So they do one activity every day. Do it along with the parent, at least for the elementary, junior, and the medial. Advanced, it's fine because they're 15 and 17. They may like to do it on their own because there's a lot of self-revelation that will happen at that time, and they may not want to share it with parents. So for children, important you understand your child, because not very often we ask a child how you're feeling, or but we do ask how much you're going to get in your English exam. So we've got to change ourselves a little bit, and that's what Motivo is trying to tell parents, that we have to change the way we think. We have to change the questions that we ask children, and that's why we recommend that they partner with their children to do this program. And at the end of so every weekend they have one live interactive Zoom session with the coaches and with the other children, where we go through what they have done, where we get them to share feelings. But because remember, no two people respond similarly to a situation. I may be angry, you may be happy about something. So it's very important. That's where they share, and they question themselves, or they question the other person, that I felt angry, and why were you sad? I mean, why didn't you not feel angry about a situation? So they will get to understand the nuances of how your emotion works. It's going to be very beautiful. Yeah, it's small activities, but very, very important messages and learnings. Okay. And then when they complete the program, they get a certificate of participation. And that's how the program is built over 5 weeks.
Awesome.
Natalie, I just want to add to what Lydia said, that it's a program which we're very proud of. We're really, really happy that we could create such a beautiful program, especially during these times. So if any parent were to come and ask me why now, I mean, I want to enroll him in a communication class, I want to enroll my child. It's in summer, summer holidays are going to start right now, and children are relatively freer to do some kind of workshop. So why not a listening class or a communication class? Well, I kind of request each parent to understand how important the children, especially adolescents, are going through a very, very, trying phase. And please understand that. Please understand that emotions are going to play. That's why our regular talks are happening, because we want to create the awareness that emotions are a very valuable part of your life. There's no, getting away from that fact. So instead of running away from it, let's kind of befriend, let's kind of make friends with our emotions, and try to take our life from that aspect. Just talking about IQ, and I totally salute the importance of IQ, but please do not kind of negate the importance of EQ. So any parent who will ask me, why do I want to enroll, why should I right now, I can do it later, well, this is the need of the hour. Let's face it. Let's face it.
No, quite frankly, Rupali, I beg to differ with you because I don't think a parent will ask you that right now. I think if you've been spending enough time with your kids, you will know that this is what they need. And hey, if there's somebody else there who is better equipped to handle a situation than I am, why not?
Absolutely. And this is an investment. I don't think so any parent will think twice before making, because it is the need of the hour. So just invest in your child's emotional intelligence, join a program, just go through a website, kind of go and look into the, every category. And they made it very transparent. So what a junior will be learning. So when you just click on the no more button, all the things which the child will learn in the 5-week module is this placed there. The qualities, the attributes, the skills which we will kind of work on your child is all mentioned there. So we made it very transparent. I would request every parent to go into the website, check it out, and any questions, do get in touch with us. We'd be more than willing to kind of address it and help us to help your child. It would be a great contribution for us also if your parents co-create, because we cannot go ahead till the times parents do not realize the importance of what we are talking about. So, parents need to kind of, step up for us too at Motivo.
It's not just step up for you, it's step up for themselves, because as you said earlier, it's a cycle, right? It's a cycle. What you put out there is what you get back. So if your kids are happier, if they are connecting, if they are speaking about how they're feeling, and I think that is so important. Also, as Lydia mentioned, two people might react differently. Something might make somebody angry and might make somebody else happy. I think it will also teach the kids acceptance.
Yes.
So I cannot think of, like, there are a million programs out there that you could enroll your kids for, summer camps, teach your kids this, that, this skill, that skill. But this is teaching your child to be, that it's okay to be who he or who she is. And I think that's what's important. And I think it sort of contributes to the overall happiness or peace in the family.
Yeah, so important, especially
now. Also, as Rupali mentioned, that this is the time we're looking to admit children for communication, handwriting. But one has to understand that you can enroll your child for everything. But if your child is emotionally not stable or stable, when I say, I mean, they're not emotionally strong, they're not confident, they're not able to, share and learn. They will go for the class, but they may not really pick that up. Or may they not be able to retain it.
That's right.
Emotional intelligence is the foundation.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you're emotionally strong, your learning or your picking up capacity will be even faster. Okay, because you'll be able to ask a lot of questions. So today, if I'm an emotionally strong person, I will ask, Nakri, I didn't understand this. But if I'm emotionally weak, I don't understand something, I'll never ask because I'm fearful of being ridiculed. So I'll just keep quiet. And therefore, I'm missing that opportunity to learn that particular skill or that whatever I'm being taught, because I'm scared to ask being ridiculed. But if you're emotionally up there, you're not scared. You're not fearful. You're confident. You will ask. It's okay because it's okay to make a mistake. That's what we want to teach the kids. And that's why, every time we get an invitation to come and speak or talk about these, we are like ready to go, because in India, there's a lot of gap in understanding about emotions, because people, as soon as you say emotional intelligence, emotions, people misconstrue that as weakness, that the child is weak. Okay, so they're like, fearful. They take a step back because no parent wants to know that my child is weak. But it's not about weakness. It's just about discovering yourself, discovering your emotions, being stronger, being freer, being more expressive. So that's the myth that we're wanting to break here with Motivo.
Absolutely. I mean, and that's the same thing with parents as well. I mean, sometimes, like, coming back to Rupali, earlier you were talking about how the body sort of manifests what the mind is going through, what the mind feels, right? It's the same thing. Sometimes when you think you have a throat ache, it's because your mind is saying something and your heart is saying something else, and the communication channels are blocked. And then you don't address that, and then you're stressed about it, and then your shoulders start hurting. It's just, all linked. So what I would also like to say to parents is just don't be too hard on yourself. Don't have too many expectations. They're your kids, but Okay, I actually read this somewhere. They do not belong to you.
Yeah.
Very important.
So
They belong with us. They don't belong to us. They
So
belong
don't-
with us.
exactly.
So don't try and live your dreams through them.
Thank you so much, Rupali and Lydia. It was wonderful having you here, and I'm glad that we,
Natalie.
people have seen a very different avatar of me. They're used to seeing the happy me, the bubbly me, the dancey me, which is usually me, but they also got exposed to a little bit of the nervous mum in me.
We all there. We all been there.
We've all been there. But yeah, there is a solution. I mean, or at least there is help. So
Yes.
reach out. I will have your link in my bio. So whoever wants to connect, whoever wants to know more about the program, feel free to reach any of us. Thank you so much.
Wonderful.
Thank you so
Thank you
much,
so
Natalie.
much for your
Pleasure.
time. It was lovely.